Most men go through life searching for love, not realizing what they're really chasing is approval. They bend, they prove, they sacrifice, all for a sense of worth, reflected in someone else's eyes. And more often than not, they're left confused, heartbroken, empty. Why? Because no one ever told them the truth, that the world doesn't owe them love, that women are not here to complete them, and that chasing validation is the fastest way to lose yourself. The Stoics knew this long ago. Epictetus taught, "If you place your peace in the hands of others, you'll never hold it again." This video isn't about blame, it's about clarity. Because once you understand how easily your desire can be manipulated, you stop begging for love and start commanding respect. What you're about to hear may challenge everything you believe, but it's not bitterness, it's freedom. So take a breath, detach from the illusion, because this is where the Stoic path begins. 1. Nature of love is biological trick. He thought it was fate, that the spark he felt was rare, divine even. But what he didn't realize was that nature has a way of wrapping instinct in romance. Love, as most experience it, isn't a soul-deep connection. It's chemistry, a storm of dopamine, oxytocin, and ancient survival codes. That flutter in your chest, that obsession, that conviction that she's the one. It's not your soul recognizing hers. It's your biology doing math. Deep inside, your subconscious is scanning. Is she fertile? Healthy? Would our offspring survive? And women? They feel it too. But their instincts search for strength, safety, and legacy. The Stoics warned us about this. They didn't call it love. They called it a test of detachment, because what begins as passion often ends in confusion. How many men have burned their lives down chasing a feeling that vanished overnight? How many marriages crumble when the thrill is gone, when the illusion fades, and biology says, mission complete? It's not betrayal, it's nature, and if you don't understand it, it will control you. But once you see through it, once you stop expecting permanent joy from temporary emotion, you become free. Because true strength isn't resisting love, it's seeing it clearly and still choosing discipline over delusion. 2. Women's selection mechanism. Some men still believe that love is a reward for being good, for being loyal, for being fair. They think that if they give everything, if they protect, provide, commit, then one day she will see and she will stay. But nature doesn't play by those rules. Women are not choosing based on kindness or consistency. They're selecting based on something far older, an ancient instinct programmed for survival. To a man, devotion feels like strength. To a woman, it's only strength if it comes with status, security, and value. You can give her your time, your heart, your soul. But if she senses you're slipping, losing drive, losing edge, losing ambition, her attraction begins to fade. Not out of cruelty, but biology. You see it everywhere. Dating apps, where most women chase the few men who have it all. Divorce courts, where commitment without power ends in ruin. History is full of kings who fell for women who later betrayed them. The pattern never changes, because the blueprint is wired into the human condition. Most men confuse sacrifice for strategy. They think being the most generous will win the prize. But women aren't drawn to submission. They're drawn to presence, purpose, power, not brute strength alone, but social strength, emotional depth, direction. This is why the nice guy gets left behind, not because he isn't worthy, but because he doesn't understand the current. He swims upstream with gifts, hoping love is earned. But desire doesn't work like that. Desire is sparked by difference, not dependence. Ever wonder why some women pull away right after you commit? Why the warmth disappears once she has you? Because for many women, the thrill isn't in possession, it's in pursuit. And when the pursuit ends, so does the pulse of attraction. This isn't manipulation, it's nature in motion. The man who doesn't see this becomes frustrated. He blames her. He blames society. He says, "Good men always lose." But the man who sees clearly, he doesn't blame. He adapts. The truth is, women don't hold the power because they demand it. They hold it because nature made them selectors. From the moment youth blooms, the clock favors them. Beauty is their currency, and instinctively they know how to spend it. Meanwhile, a man's value isn't gifted. It must be earned, through effort, through struggle, through resilience. That's why the world doesn't give men power. It watches to see if they build it. And many men do, but they build for the wrong reason. They chase validation. They want to be loved for their sacrifice. But love, at its core, is conditional, especially in the modern world, where attention has become currency, where social media has weaponized beauty, where average men are used for emotional labor, while the highest value men dominate the marketplace. It's not about blaming women. It's about understanding the game. When a man stops growing, she grows cold. When he begs for connection, she loses respect. She was drawn to strength, not servitude. And this is where most men break. They give too much. They wait too long. They bet their future on someone who was only passing through. They become volunteers in their own undoing. But the Stoic man steps back. He doesn't react. He reflects. He doesn't demand love. He develops gravity. Because when a man centers his life around purpose, women orbit by choice. When he chooses growth over approval, he becomes unforgettable. So remember this: you don't have to hate the rules to master them. You don't need to control women. You need to control yourself. Masculinity is not about chasing. It's about becoming. When you embody quiet strength, you no longer ask for love. You become the kind of man who commands it. 3. Female influence is subtle but powerful. You were taught that love is about giving, about listening, about adjusting yourself for her happiness. But here's what no one told you. In the silent world of attraction, women don't fight like men. They don't compete with fists or words. They shape reality, quietly, emotionally, and with devastating precision. While most men are busy proving themselves, she's already reading the room. She's analyzing your tone, your body language, your boundaries. To you, it's just a conversation. To her, it's a battlefield. You think she's interested because she smiled, because she responded, because she said yes to dinner. But behind every action is a test, a subtle challenge to your frame, your self-respect, your emotional control. The truth? You're not being chosen. You're being evaluated. This isn't about cruelty. It's about instinct. In a world where physical strength didn't guarantee survival, women evolved emotional influence as their greatest weapon. They don't need to confront, they redirect. They don't need to overpower, they outlast. And most men never see it coming. They think being agreeable makes them more lovable. But each time you fold your boundaries, each time you rearrange your life to please her, she senses something. Weakness. Not evil, just biology. Women are drawn to power, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that controls itself. That's why women test you, not to destroy your confidence, but to measure it. These are the hidden tests of modern dating. The compliance test. Will you cancel your plans when she texts last minute? The frame test. Will you stay grounded when she becomes emotional? The investment test. Are you chasing harder than she is? Most men fail these without realizing, not because they're bad men, but because they don't realize they're being tested. And when you fail these tests, she doesn't argue, she withdraws, not with anger, but indifference. Because the moment you make her your purpose, she feels it. And that feeling doesn't create attraction, it kills it. The man she respects is the one who doesn't need her to feel whole, the one who sees her clearly, yet remains grounded in himself. This doesn't mean being cold, it means being centered, being emotionally sovereign. So here's the hard truth most men miss. You don't win a woman over by serving her emotions. You do it by mastering your own. The Stoics taught that power lies not in what you control, but in how you control yourself. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." In the modern world, emotional discipline is a man's armor, not against women, but against the traps of insecurity, approval-seeking, and self-abandonment. Because the second you lose your frame, you lose your edge. And once your edge is gone, so is her desire. 4. Transcend the game. There's a quiet war happening in every interaction between a man and a woman. But most men walk into it blind, armed with hope, not awareness. They don't realize the power struggle has already begun, long before the first compliment, the first touch, the first promise. She's not seeking control out of malice. She's following an instinct that says, test him, see if he folds, measure if he leads. And she will test in silence. She'll pull away to see if you chase. She'll show emotion to see if you panic. She'll flirt in front of you to see if you unravel. It's not cruelty. It's nature's way of revealing who's grounded and who's pretending. The man who fails these tests doesn't just lose her, he loses himself, because he begins to perform, to please, to prove his worth, forgetting that true strength never begs to be seen. But the Stoics taught us something powerful. You don't win by controlling others. You win by mastering yourself. You don't escape the game by outplaying her. You transcend it by outgrowing the need to win. This happens when a man shifts his focus from being chosen to building. And what he builds are 3 pillars, 3 foundations of unshakable masculinity. 1. Economic sovereignty. Not to flaunt, but to free yourself. When you control your money, you control your time, your choices, and your peace. You no longer chase love out of desperation. You walk with standards. 2. Philosophical depth. Not to sound smart, but to see clearly. The modern world is full of noise. A man who reads, reflects, and questions develops vision. He cuts through lies, not with anger, but with wisdom. 3. Physical mastery. Not for vanity, but for discipline. Because when the body is strong, the mind becomes sharper. The man who trains his body trains his will. When you stand on these three pillars, you no longer need to demand loyalty. You inspire it, quietly, powerfully. You become the man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't fold, because he has something more important than her approval. He has himself. Here's the turning point. The moment you stop expecting the world to hand you happiness, you stop being miserable. That's not pessimism. It's emotional discipline. It's the armor of a man who no longer begs for love, approval, or fairness, because he's discovered something deeper. Peace comes when you no longer chase it. When you stop running with the desperate, something strange happens. You begin to attract what you once chased, not because you changed the world, but because you changed how you stand in it. This battle between men and women, it's not personal. It's been playing out for generations, shaped by instinct and survival. But once you see it for what it is, you stop resenting it. You adapt. You evolve. You build a life so strong, so rooted in purpose, that anyone who enters it must rise to your level or step aside. And in that clarity, you'll understand the deepest trap of all. We trade away who we are just to be accepted. But a man who chooses his truth over approval becomes the rarest kind. You have a choice. Keep chasing illusions that vanish in your hands, or become the man who stands so firmly in his own value that the world adjusts to him. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of your real life.